Is failure something that really holds you back and you you don't move forward because you're worried about what power it's going to take away from you? Well, today I want to talk about the power of failure and how you can use it for you in order to move forward and build confidence within inside yourself. Now, I've been someone in my life who has been very, very scared of failure from a young age. And failure is often linked to, I discovered for myself and what I've known to be true for when other people have talked to me about it and what I've studied and all the podcasts and audios I've listened to, is that it's often linked to the fear of not being enough. That if we make a mistake, then therefore, oh my God, what's everyone going to think of us? Like if we don't complete something, how bad is that going to make us look? And it's very closely linked sometimes and overlaps with the fear of rejection. That if someone says no or to us in whatever circumstance, then that also brings out we're not enough and therefore not lovable. And for me, I used to have so many times in my life where I was just scared of making any kind of mistake, and I'd hide away from doing anything, right? And the truth is, what I realized is I'm always going to make mistakes. Not like every second of every day, but it's inevitable. It's going to happen. Nobody is perfect. And if you know anyone who identifies as a perfectionist, that's just bullshit. That's someone talking crap. Like there's no such thing as a perfectionist. It's just like, oh, it's just a fear of not being enough. Again, that's just another word for it, right? Because nothing's perfect. There's a difference between high standards, because in the high standards you're still going to make mistakes, and perfection. That's crap. It's just made up term. So that's what I want to really share today, like about how you can use failure to move you forward. Now, we're not talking about just going out there and failing at everything and making mistakes deliberately. No, right? We're talking about how you can grow from it. Now, I was someone at a point where I would play football and I just remember just hiding away from the ball and just not like wanting the ball and just scared because I might lose it. That's how scared of the fear of failure. And I love football. I know I'd have like daydreams about how good I could be, but I wouldn't improve for many years. Well, I would a little bit, I guess, but like I didn't improve as much as I could have done because I hid away from the ball. I was scared, right? I stopped doing certain activities. Like I'd hide away from like things where there was competition because I was scared of not being good at it. So I definitely know what it means. Now, one day it really hit me like how important growth was to me. Before I even got into personal growth, it was like I discovered when I started doing well on certain tests and doing well in school, I was like, this feels really good to put effort in and then grow. And I realized actually from failure came growth, and I valued growth a lot more, and I still do, and I always will. Value growth a lot more than I value running away from failure, right? Or what people think about me because I've made a mistake, right? And there's another story I want to share with you that really sometimes you have things in your life, I believe, where life gives you an opportunity or it just puts you on the spot and it really character builds and you don't have a choice in the matter, but it can really help. And now sometimes obviously those are really difficult times to work through for people, but this was one moment for me. I was in a job when I was about 22, 23, and I was in my early stages of project management, and I was in the local council, and we had to go to an event, and we had all these social workers, and you had a director doing it, but my team was in charge of that I was in. I was very much at the admin, not an admin assistant, but kind of like assistant level of this, and before I grew up into sort of management in that. And there were a load of people coming in, and the projector wasn't working, all the setup was dodgy, and like it wasn't my fault, but I felt responsible. I wanted it to be perfect. That's when I was talking crap to myself that perfectionism actually existed when it didn't, and it doesn't. Again, so I've been guilty of that as well. And then like it just didn't look good. We had this ladder, all these social workers, and I had to hold the projector whilst the screen was showing something. And do you know what? Like, to be honest, it was a stupid event and a waste of time. I felt because the directors didn't really give them much, in my personal opinion. And I've got a lot of admiration for social workers, do a lot of hours, a lot of work, and the pay, as I understand, is not amazing, or not probably worth, the amount they could be getting, right? I won't go down that route, but I admire social workers for what they do. So thank you to all the social workers out there. And yeah, I don't think they got the justice they did from that. And I wasn't a director. I wasn't anyone who was kind of running the service. I was just an assistant helping run the event. But anyway, like I felt like really embarrassed. But when I got through that, I felt super confident because there was like mistakes and all these kind of things, and I had pulled through it. And that taught me about the importance of courage and growth and learning from things. And this wasn't even like a mistake I made. It was just the venue, and I was trying to pull things together. And yeah, that's what I really, really learn as a result from moving forward. Now, I want to give you some points about failure today. And you may be at a point where you're just so scared of failure and it's actually holding you back. Like, ask yourself, what does it cost you for your life? I'm here to help you move forward, because I've totally been there. Like, it stopped me of so many opportunities in my life. I could have moved forward, like, scared of, like I said, it overlaps with like rejection, scared of going for job opportunities in case I didn't get it, or scared of talking to a girl like I like because of rejection. And it's just so many things. And I'm not in a place now that I'm sitting and regretting, because that's a waste of time. Regret is a waste of time because you can't change the past. You can only learn from it. So I want to go through some points on how you can use failure to power you up and really boost your confidence and move you towards what you want. Okay, so the first thing is writing down the worst case scenario. Right? Right, this sounds a bit counterintuitive, but trust me. All right, write down the worst case scenario. Okay, right. And it's off because when you write it down on paper, it's often not that bad. You go and for example, you go and like do some public speaking, maybe in something like Toastmasters, which is a public speaking forum where you can improve it, which is very like supportive community. What's the worst that could happen? Probably in Toastmasters, you get up and you stumble on your words and people will support you, and then you can go up another time, right? That's the worst thing that can happen. Is that life or death? No. But the brain often thinks it is. And in like the body, it's looking to keep us safe, because failing is like life or death sometimes. All right. So writing that down. Okay. Maybe if you go in somewhere like, but as professional speakers, like build their confidence up, they have more of an expectation on them, right? So let's use that example. Now, a professional speaker is going to have a lot more confidence and not worry about that so much because they've done it time and time again. So that if people do criticize them, they probably take that on board, right? So if I'm a professional speaker and I go to an event and I'm paid like thousands, or probably tens of thousands, the top ones are hundreds of thousands. You go to an event and you speak and someone doesn't like you. What's the worst case scenario? Someone doesn't like you. When you write that down, it's like, oh, okay. Maybe a few people don't, right? Okay. Maybe the very worst, the whole room doesn't like you. Is that life or death? No. Obviously, if you're talking about like very controversial or offensive things, that's, that I wouldn't recommend that. And that's probably, you might get like one or two messages at you then. But like the very worst case scenario is people just wouldn't like you. Is that life or death? No. Right? When you write that down, it's fine. It's like having a difficult conversation with a boss or someone in the workplace. Worst case scenario, they tell you off, or maybe they raise their voice slightly. Is that life or death? No. Or you like, here, okay, let's go a bit deeper because I've had it. I've had this. You lose your job. Okay. Now, it's not a nice place to go. It's definitely not a nice place to be. But the worst case scenario in that is you have to find another job and maybe borrow a little bit of money to keep you going for a bit, right? That's not life or death, that's an extreme example, but generally, like day-to-day things, if you just write down the worst case scenario, and it kind of reassures the brain, and you may have to do it again and again, and it's not like you're heading towards it, but it's just getting it out of your system and putting it on it. because I'm going to go into some more points now. The second point is define what failure is, right? What is failure? For me, failure is not doing anything. It is not taking the action I need to. It's not the outcome necessarily, right? When you start focusing on the outcome, that's what you can't control. When you focus on what you can do, that's what you can. So like for me, I know recently I've been promoting an offer, and I'll just share this in business, and I've had one or two people sign up, which is amazing. And I'd like reach out to so many people because I believe in tapping into the network. I'm trying to do more of in-person stuff. And this is about helping people podcasting and the mentoring offer. And like a lot of people do not reply, or some people go, yeah, I'll think of someone. And, obviously I'll try and make it conversational. I'm trying to help them as much as possible as well. And it's not necessarily saying it to them, but just asking their network for any suggestions. And a lot of people, I'd say like 75% at least, just don't reply, right? Now that's going to be different for everyone. But that's like, you could easily look at that like failure. But then 25% will reply and be like, the rest of 25 is a mixture between, I'm not so sure, but I will keep you in mind. Or the few is like, oh yeah, I'd like to talk further about this. Or I'd like to do this. Or would you come and present about this topic? Right. And that's the thing with business in general. It's like, sometimes it's like a 10% success rate. So you have to work out your numbers. But like, if you're basing it on like the result of every single person, like I've been in sales, if I base my confidence on like it having to result in a sale in every call, I'd never have any confidence, because like, you're looking at like a 20 to 30, if you're really good, 40% conversion rate with the people you speak to, right? Now, actually, I got my team up to like 50% at one point when the offer was crazy and we really had a good flow of people coming in, and that was a really proud achievement for me, and we made a lot and impacted a lot of lives. But like generally, like in sales, for example, you're going to hit like 20 to 30% conversion, maybe 10%, and that's still all right, I believe, anyway, depending how many people you're speaking to. Obviously, if you're speaking to 10 people a month and only converting one, that's probably going to be a bit of a problem for your cash flow. But like, yeah, if it's like 10 people out of 100, that's slightly better, right? Or 100 people out of 1,000, right? 10%. So define what failure is for you. Is it the result? Was it taking the action? The third thing is, it's very much linked off what I just said, and it's celebrate the effort. Celebrate when you take the effort, celebrate that. Be really happy that you've taken the effort to do that, because when you celebrate, you're going to feel good and you want to do more of it. So like, I'm reaching out to people. Yes, I've contacted them. Right. Cool. Yes. Right. Now I let go of the outcome. Yes, I've contacted them, because I know when I speak to enough people, they're going to create something, a network, and then it can come back to me and be like, oh, this is really cheesy, reaching out to people, telling them about what I'm offering. Or I could look at it like, well, I'm helping people really share their voice, and I need as many people to know this as possible so we can impact people in the world by getting more podcasts out there and helping change people's lives. And all I can do is reach out and share my message. Completely two different ways to think about it, right? So celebrate the effort you're doing. And then my final point for you today is this one. Think about, in terms of failure, think about times that you thought you were going to fail, or you felt like you were a failure, and then you overcame it. Because we forget sometimes, so often, I feel, about all the great stuff we've done. And it has to be conditioned. Like, I did this. Yes, I did that. Yes, I'm amazing. And just write down the list of 10 things minimum where you've overcome a challenge, because that will show you that even though you felt like it was failing, maybe at the time, that you overcame it. And guess what? You can do it again when you remind yourself of that. So that's what I got for you today. Just to recap what we've talked about today, we talked about the power of failure and how you can actually learn from it and utilize it to move you forward and build your confidence. The first thing, like I said, was writing down the worst case scenario. Usually not that bad, writing it down. And if it is like a big challenge, then you can write down what you're going to do about it if it was to happen. And that'll make you feel more prepared and confident as a result. The second thing, define what failure is for you. Like, define it, right? The third thing, celebrate any effort you take, not the outcome, the effort you do, and get excited, because the more you do that, the more you want to do it. And then finally, look at the times when you felt like you're a failure, felt like you never overcome something, and you did anyway, because that shows you were capable of doing it again. So I appreciate you for being here. Thank you so much for spending time with me. And remember to lead with your heart and not with fear.